Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances.
Well,
Hare Krishna.
well,
Zulna Chandramouli Swami Maharaj, disciple of Sri Prabhupada, we are very fortunate to have association today, valuable time. So Maharaj will be speaking on Nityananda Prabhu's Katha. So thank you very much, Maharaj. You can begin.
okay.
Hare Krishna Chandramouli Swami Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance, all glories to Prabhupada.
Both glories to Srila Prabhupada. I hope.
Happy to see you, Maharaj.
I hope. Yeah. See here, trying to get to the text. I can't find it. Let me see. Have to get out and get to my email somewhere. Without losing the link. Can you hear me?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
You want me to post it in the chat, Maharaj, or you got?
Yeah.
Let me send.
Om Gyan Timirandasya Gyana Jana Salakana Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru Om Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Prasnaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pastyatya De Sutarine Panchakalpa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Pevacha Anam Bhave Jo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So as was directed, we are to speak on from Chaitanya Bhagavat in Vrindavan Das Thakur, chapter 5, Avancha Leela, Lord Nityananda. First, before we speak, we should mention that, well, who is this Nityananda? It says, Brajendra Nandana Ye, Sachi Sutta Hoilo Se Balaram Hoilo Netai. And that same personality who appeared as the brother in the pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna in Vrindavan was known as Sri Balaram, has again reappeared along with the same brother in the present Leela as Gaur Nitai. There's no difference between Lord Balaram and Lord Nityananda. They are same person in two different forms. They are identical, but manifested differently according to their particular pastime. So Sri Nityananda, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda, as part of the manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which appeared little more than 535 years ago, 530 to be exact, 538 years ago, in a place known as Nilachala, not Nilachala, but in the place known as Mayapur. Nityananda appeared in a place known as Radhadesh, which is a distance away. It's still in the area of Bengal. And he performed his pastimes. He joined Lord Chaitanya at the age of 32 years old. Lord Chaitanya had appeared in 1486. He appeared in 1474, 12 years earlier, but 20 years after his birth, actually 32 years after his birth, 20 years after the birth of Lord Chaitanya, they actually came together in the area of Sri Navadvip Dham, which we now know as the pastime place of or Nitai, along with their associates. As described in this particular chapter, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda came. It says that actually they came to bring about the Yuga Dharma and to enlighten all of the conditioned souls in the most easiest, sublime, and most merciful manifestation of their compassion by inspiring everyone to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, both in kirtan and in individual prayer known as japa. This kirtan is the essence of all of the spiritual practice. One who performs kirtan actually worships Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda according to their direction. Of course, that kirtan is Krishna kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, as we go into their particular activities during the time they were manifested on this planet, we find that Lord Chaitanya at one point took sannyas and left his place in Navadvip to go to Jagannath Puri. Actually, he decided to go to Vrindavan, but on the request of his mother, who intercepted him at the house of Advaita Charya as he was on his way, she spent time with him and she encouraged him that actually, if you go to Vrindavan, we will never see you again. In order to please his mother, who was another mother, Sachimata, who is actually a very special personality, played a role of the mother of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a very not rare, but practically impossible position to get. And so she's actually a very great soul who played that role as Lord Chaitanya's mother. And Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna or Nahiyanya. He is Krishna in the mood of his own pure devotee, Srimati Radharani. He combined incarnation in order to manifest his pastimes in the mood of Sri Vrindavan, playing the role of a pure devotee who has pure love for himself in the form of Krishna. And so on his way to Mayapur, from Mayapur to Vrindavan, he spent time at the house of Advaita Charya. He spent there 1 month. And during that time, Mother Sachi and many of the associates of the Lord who had been with him in Navadvip came. And so then she directed him. She said, please do not go to Vrindavan. If you do, we will never see you again. Actually, Jagannath Puri and Navadvip are like 2 rooms in the same house, so we will get to see you occasionally. So please make your residence in Jagannath Puri. And the Lord, on the request of his glorious mother, and to show love for her and to actually perform his pastimes as he had planned, this was also his all plan. He went to Jagannath Puri. Of course, Jagannath Puri is not part of this material world. It's actually manifested in this material world. It is actually from the spiritual world itself. That's described in the Skanda Purana. At Mayapur Dham, anyone who takes birth in Mayapur is actually a resident of the spiritual world. They appear in two arms, but they have actually four arms. But now the Lord is there, and every year during the Rath Yatra ceremony, the devotees from Navadvip, headed by Sri Shivananda Sain and Lord Nityananda, and many of the Lord's associates in Navadvip used to come and see him and take part in the Rath Yatra with the Lord. In 1 year, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda came, but he became so desirous not to leave and go back to Navadvip that he stayed with Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya was a little concerned. He says that he called Lord Nityananda to a secluded place, and he said, "Oh, my all exalted one, please listen. You must return to Navadvip immediately. I have promised in my own words that I will deliver all of these fallen and wretched souls in the age of Kali. But now you have taken up the life of a hermit and discarded your activities. I'll be preaching here in Jagannath Puri, and I will also travel, but you must go back to Navadvip. Take all of your Gopals, your associates, and spread the Nam Sankirtan there." Taking the order of his dear brother on his head, he agreed, reluctantly, of course, because he had so much love for Lord Chaitanya, he didn't want to leave, but that was their duty, and he understood. And so they left, and receiving with Bengal, and he was with many of his associates, such as Ramdas, Gadadhar Das, Raghunath Vaidya, Krishnadas Pandit, Parmeshwari, Purandara Pandit. And they were chanting and dancing as they were going, heading towards Navadvip. But in the bliss of the kirtan, they were actually they somehow or other weren't able to understand which direction they were going. And in that kirtan, there were being many manifestations of ecstasy. Ramdas, Abhiram Das, he's also called Ramdas, but Abhiram Das, he went into ecstasy, and for 9 hours, he stood in the position of Lord Krishna. He picked up a gigantic tree that no one could lift. It was a dead tree laying on the side. He picked it up and he held it in his hands like a flute. And for 9 hours, he stood in that position in the mood of Gopal playing the flute. And see, these were some of the ecstasies that the devotees were experiencing, being in the association of Lord Nityananda. And so everyone was somewhat oblivious to their surroundings. They were chanting and dancing. And Gadadhar Das, overcome in the mood of Srimati Radharani, was laughing and laughing and laughing. And he would go around and say, "Who wants to buy yogurt? Anyone wants to buy yogurt?" So one after another. And then Purandara Pandit climbed the tree and started to jump and say, "I am Engada. I am the monkish soldier." And he jumped down in the mood of fighting for Lord Ram against Ravana and his cohorts. So Lord Nityananda infused everyone in ecstatic moods as they traveled for miles. They're going sometimes left and sometimes right without any direction in life. After a while, they realize, where are we? We don't know where we are. Where are we supposed to go? To Navadvip. We have to find the Ganges because the Ganges leads to Navadvip. So they asked, where is Ganga? All people said, you must go in a distance of 2 hours in that direction. Then you will find the Ganga, and you will follow the Ganga. So they went, and after traveling again for another 20 miles to the left, and someone else pointed out, no, 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 you're not going in the right direction. You have to go, pointing them in another direction. So in their ecstasy, they appeared to be lost, but they were lost in transcendental happiness, chanting and dancing as they were trying to go. And then Madhava Ghosh, the famous kirtan singer, he was singing, and Lord Nityananda was dancing, and they were performing their different kirtans and ecstasies. The Lord Nityananda danced with such abandon that the entire earth started to shake, roaring as he was crashing to the ground in amazement. People were watching and they were amazed to see the ecstasy. He is the embodiment of the highest form of spiritual love. Although he is Balaram himself appearing in that form of Lord Nityananda, he was in the role of his own devotee as he was teaching and experiencing his own transcendental happiness as he was singing and dancing along with his associates. Finally, after some time, they arrived near the area of Navadvip, and they came to the house of Raghava Pandit. Raghava Pandit came to greet the Lord and gave him a throne and started to bathe his feet. And there was a beautiful ceremony as they brought pots of water for the Ganga, all aromatic with various types of scents. And they poured it over Lord Nityananda's head. And everyone was so gladdened at heart that they could actually take part in bathing the Supreme Personality of God. And it was such joy. After the Abhishek, they gave him fresh clothes, decorated him with sandalwood pulp, and then they brought various types of ornaments. And he sat on the throne of Lord Vishnu, and Lord Raghava Pandit held an umbrella over his head. And then the whole house began to reverberate in sounds of chanting of the holy name. Everyone was lifting their arms, and they were completely oblivious to whatever else was happening around them as they danced in ecstasy, showering each other with their own love as tears of joy were falling from their eyes. Lord Nityananda's kirtan causes people to go mad in ecstasy. So at one point, Lord Nityananda looked at Raghava Pandit. He said, I love Kadamba flowers. I could live in the garden of Kadamba flowers. Please bring me some Kadamba flowers. And Raghava Pandit said, well, my dear Lord, actually, this is not the season for Kadamba flowers. And Lord Nityananda said, you just go back in your garden there and see what you can find. Maybe you'll find some Kadamba flowers here and there. So when Raghava Pandit went back to look, he was amazed. On the lemon tree, there were beautiful, fresh, lovely Kadambas blooming gleefully. Yes. The flowers are so beautiful, they gave out a beautiful fragrance. They were not only Kadamba flowers, they were the best of all Kadamba flowers. Simply by seeing these flowers, one could go into ecstasy. He quickly gathered these flowers and strung them into a beautiful garland, and then presented that garland to Lord Nityananda. And he placed the garland around his head. The Lord was very pleased to receive the garland. But then again, something else happened. There was a very strong scent in the air of a type of flower that is not grown anywhere near where they are, and that is called the drona flowers. Sometimes it's called the Damanaka flowers. And these flowers grow only in the area of Jagannath Puri. And Lord Chaitanya was very fond of wearing Damanaka garlands. And so everyone was smelling. Then Lord Nityananda finally revealed the secret. he said with complete compassion, pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. They actually, Lord Chaitanya has actually appeared. You cannot see him, but he is here. He actually entered into the tree in this area here, and he is witnessing all of your miracles. As it says in the Shastras, wherever Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda dances, Lord Chaitanya actually appears there to witness the dance of Lord Nityananda, and vice versa. They're always together in kirtan, especially. And these are frame kirtans. These are not ordinary kirtans. When we do kirtan, sometimes we space out, we don't pay attention, we see who's in the kirtan rather than actually getting absorbed in the chanting. But our kirtans are still somewhat neophyte. We keep practicing, we'll become better and better at the kirtan. But the actual kirtan means to absorb yourself in the sound vibration of Krishna's holy name as it's being chanted so beautifully. And hear every letter of the word of the Lord's name and absorb yourself in that sound, picking up on the mood of the chanter as he sings from his heart the glories of the Lord. When we chant and when we hear in that mood, and then when we respond, our response is actually pleasing to the Lord, because the Lord is attracted by devotion. So this is called Prem Kirtan, that kirtan that is permeated with bhakti or pure love. After revealing that Lord Chaitanya was personally present, all the devotees became ecstatic. It says that only a few, maybe 3 to 5, could actually see Lord Chaitanya. Those were very elevated. There were so many devotees with Lord Nityananda that only a few could actually see. And the Lord roared loudly, said, Hari, Hari. And then he started to dance even more. After some time, Lord Nityananda sat down and he continued the kirtan as he sat on the throne. And the Lord's devotees came to dance in front of him, and he ordered them one by one, come and dance for me. So one by one, they would come in front of Lord Nityananda and dance for him. And he would be so happy to see the devotees who were in ecstasy dancing to the sound of Madhava Ghosh singing so beautifully the kirtan of the holy name. It became so ecstatic that Lord Nityananda became unaware that even of what he was wearing. He was unaware of the loss of his clothing as he was in ecstasy, feeling so happy in participating in kirtan. So this was in an area called Panihati. Panihati is a place that we honor the Padihani Utsava usually happens in June every year when devotees come together and perform this Panihati program in our temple in Atlanta, Georgia. Every year there's a big ceremony because that temple is called New Panihati. And devotees come together and they prepare different pots with various types of ingredients, 6 different flavors, each pot emphasizing a particular type of flavor, and each pot full of so many varieties of foodstuffs, each emanating so sweetly and so nicely. The devotees take part in that, and so this is the area where this whole Panihati festival actually took place. And it was instigated or inaugurated by Lord Nityananda. So they performed at Panihati, and when they were there, and Lord Nityananda spent 3 months with his associates there, and they were chanting and dancing with abandon every day. And this went on every day, hour after hour. Kirtan is like that. Just like last night, we were at, I'm in London. We were at the Soho Street in London, and we had kirtan from 4 o'clock in the afternoon till about 11:30 at night. We were supposed to stop at 10 o'clock. That was the schedule, but the devotees got so enthusiastic in the kirtan that nobody wanted to stop. We had to stop at 11:30 because it was getting a little bit late as the temple wanted to close. So yeah, so this is kirtan is like that. It's just when devotees come together and everyone is eager for the kirtan. Not that we simply stand there and listen. No, we should chant, we should dance, we should raise our arms, glorifying Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, because they have come. Ajanu lambata bujo kanakama tato sankirtanai papitaro kamalaya takso. Vishwambaro Dvijabaro Yuga Dharma follow Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karuna Avataro. Sri Nityananda and Sri Lord and Chaitanya, they have come to inaugurate Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Vinodido Garodaya Pushpanvanto Chitta Sando Tamo Nudo. They have risen over the horizon of Gaudiya like the sun and the moon, who are the bright lights within this world that give heat, give light, give life to all living entities. So our real life is devotional, and that life is inspired and sparked by these two great souls who appeared, actually the Supreme Lord, to inspire us to take part in this kirtan. And as we take part in this kirtan, we please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. And that is the secret of success in bhakti, is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So by performing kirtan, there's no better way to please the Supreme Lord, Gaur Nitai. So as they were performing this kirtan day after day for 3 months, it just kept going on. And then the area of the village, the people in the village started to take place. It describes that even the young children from the village would come, and seeing and hearing this kirtan, they would also dance. And the children, they came from ordinary householders, and they became so enthusiastic in the kirtan, as it's described previously, that Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda's associates would dance in such happiness, they would grab trees. They would wrap their arms around the trees and pull the trees out of the ground and dance with the trees. Sometimes they would walk up the side of the tree all the way out to the branches and dance on the very end of the twigs. And because of the transcendental power of kirtan, the twigs would hold them. They would jump off and cry out in ecstasy as they were coming to the ground, but they would never feel any pain, even though they were falling from the trees. So this is Lord Nityananda's kirtan. You can't imagine. You should read this pastime. It's so ecstatic. It illustrates what Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda has presented to the whole world. A type of happiness that can never be described or experienced in any other form other than Prem Sankirtan. So these children, there were hundreds of children, and they were running, and they would grab the trees along with the devotees, and they would dance. And sometimes the children would go out without food for an entire month, and they would dance along with the associates of Lord Nityananda. And everyone was amazed to see even these little children. And they would come to Lord Nityananda, and sometimes when they would come to him, he would put some food in their mouth, and he would make them sit next to him. And sometimes in a disciplinarian mood, he would beat them. And then he would enjoy himself, and he would laugh out loudly. This is Lord Nityananda. So one day, Lord Nityananda, he came to the place where Gadadhar was, feeling affection for Gadadhar. he lifted a water pot filled from Ganges water in his hand, and he would go around vending. Anyone wants to buy cow's milk? So they were all in so much ecstasy in the association of Lord Nityananda performing kirtans. They would go into their mood as eternal associates of the Lord in the spiritual world and perform their pastimes during Lord Nityananda's kirtan. Of course, after 3 months, everything changed, and then Lord Nityananda left along with associates. But during that time, one part that I failed to mention is that people were bringing all kinds of gifts to Lord Nityananda, jewels from the deities and clothing and ornaments and various decorations, garlands and sandalwood. And they were decorating the Lord. And the Lord he had crowns and he had jeweled earrings and he had bangles and necklaces and so many gold ornaments. And then he went into the area of Navadvip, and he continued with his associates to perform kirtan. As he was doing it through the streets of Navadvip, there was one dacoit. He was the leader of a gang of dacoits. He saw this Nityananda. He was thinking, who is this? Look at this. He has more jewels and valuable gems than we can even imagine exists. So he made a plan. He called his dacoit friends and said, we can retire. We have one more job. There's this person, he's called Nityananda. And he's got some sentimental followers, and they're singing and dancing in the street. So one day, they're staying at the house of Jagadish Pandit. And so one day when he's at the house, we will come and raid the house, and we'll capture him and take all of his jewelry. And then we can end our program of thievery. We'll have enough wealth to carry us through many, many lifetimes. And so he was encouraging his dacoits. So they made a plan. So Lord Nityananda, after he would perform his kirtan in in the night, he would go to the house of Jagadish Pandit. So it came, the dacoits were waiting. As the sun was going down, they put themselves in different positions, and each one of them was armed with various types of weapons, knives, and what other things, different kinds of weapons. I don't know exactly what the weapons were, but it mentions each dacoit had at least 4 or 5 different types of weapons. And they were waiting and waiting. And as the sun was going down, they were waiting it to get dark. But then something happened. They all fell asleep, including the leader. And sooner or later, it was morning. They heard the roar of the rooster, and they looked around. Oh my God, it's morning. And they woke up. What happened? And then they started to blame each other for falling asleep. And then the leader of the dacoit said, actually, we didn't worship our God, our worshipful goddess Durga Devi, and therefore she's not pleased with us. They called her Chandi. Chandi is another name. So we must worship Chandi, and then she will bless us, and tomorrow we will be successful. And so that day they worshiped Chandi, and then they came back to the next evening. Again, as Lord Nityananda finished his pastimes, he would go to the house of Jagadish Pandit, and with his associates, they would take prasadam and perform kirtan in the house. And then the dacoits got ready again. But then when they came, they saw something really unusual, which was something to their surprise. They saw these big, gigantic sentries carrying big swords, and they were walking around the house of Lord Nityananda, where he was staying, Jagadish's house. So the leader of the dacoits said, well, the king must be coming, so this is not a good time. Let us go and come back another night. So they waited a few more days, and then they came back. And then this time they were ready. And this time, when they came in the evening, the house was, the sentries were gone, and they all made their plans. And so as it was getting darker, they were all getting ready. But Indra was seeing what was happening. So he got into action and he started to create a rainstorm. And it started to rain and rain and rain. And pretty soon the rain became torrential. And all the dacoits were getting wet. And then finally, Indra became very disturbed, thinking, what are these? They're trying to attack the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They start sending a hailstone, big, gigantic ice balls were crashing down and hitting these dacoits, and they were yelling and screaming in pain, and they were trying to get away. And because it was dark, they couldn't see, and the rain was coming. They were falling this way and that. One fell into a ditch with some scorpions and some various types of deadly insects. They were being bitten. Another one ran into a bush of thorns and he got stuck. Another one fell into a canal and broke his leg. And so one after another, they were all becoming devastated by the rainfall. And so during this time, the leader of the dacoit, and as he was undergoing all of this physical pain, he got a realization. He started to understand, wow, this Nityananda, he must be the Supreme Lord himself. And as soon as he thought like that, he started to feel sorry for what he was thinking of doing. And as soon as he felt like that, Indra stopped everything. And then everything became calm. The dacoits picked themselves up. They were pretty much broken up. And they left. And then that next night, the dacoit, the leader of the dacoit, he wanted to come and fall at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda and beg forgiveness and also get his mercy. So he came to the house of Jagannatha Pandey without his followers. He came into the house and he ran to the floor where Lord Nityananda was standing, and he dove there full dandavats and grabbed the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda and started to cry. The devotees who were with Lord Nityananda was wondering, this guy, we know who he is. He's a famous thief. Why? He must be coming here to do his business. But Lord Nityananda said, no, no. And then he raised him up, and then he started offering beautiful prayers to the Lord. And he was besides himself with grief because he felt so bad that he was thinking of causing harm to Lord Nityananda. And he was really trying to apologize, and at the same time saying, please punish me for all of my sinful activity. The Lord forgave him for everything, raised him up and said, actually, I forgive you. You're like my child. The Lord is very kind and merciful for anyone who surrenders to him. And then he said, actually, because of your position, you have a lot of influence with all of the thieves in the area. So I bless you that with the power to transform all of your associates into devotees of the Lord. Get them to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Get them to worship the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna himself. So forgiving the leader of the dacoits and actually giving him some service. So when we get a chance to do some service for the Supreme Lord or for his pure devotee, it is a great benediction for us. People sometimes think that sometimes service becomes a botheration or burden or an intrusion in one's routine life. But a devotee who actually understands what is bhakti looks forward to take the opportunity to serve. Not only do they look forward for it, they seek it out. They try to find opportunities to serve the Vaishnavas, to serve the Lord, and to dedicate their time, energy, resources, intelligence, ability in serving the Lord. And by doing that, they become purified and they receive the mercy of the Lord, because receiving the mercy of the Lord, as it's mentioned in the Shastra, is the perfection of one's Krishna consciousness. Until we receive the full mercy of the Lord, we will not be able to go back home, back to Godhead. And full mercy is available for those who are enthusiastic to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, take part in these activities, and serve the Vaishnavas. This is the foundation by which devotional service becomes so powerful, and it pleases the Lord directly. When the Lord sees that the devotee wants to serve other devotees and chant the holy names of the Lord, then the Lord's mercy flows and unlimited, and one's life becomes sublime. Everything becomes wonderful. Sometimes we have to struggle with so many things as we live in this material world. And we try to make some patchwork, adjusting things in order to make our life better. But this is a futile attempt, and it's a waste of time. Best thing is just use your time, energy, and resources to serve the Lord, chant the holy names of the Lord, and everything will become wonderful. When you bring in the sun, the darkness goes. You don't have to try to escape the darkness by putting a few candles here and there. The sun of the Lord's holy name, one becomes the life of the light, or the light of the life of a devotee, then everything, all problems go, all miseries go. And even if there's something happening, it's so insignificant, it's not even worth talking about. So this is Krishna consciousness. And Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda has given us this mercy in this age. Rajendra Nandana Ye Sachi Sutta Hoilo say Balaram Hoili Notai. There's no more merciful, no more kind, no more compassionate, no one makes the process of going back home, back to Godhead so easy and so available, not only easy, but available to anyone and everyone who takes it up. But we have to take it up seriously, not just piecemeal whenever we have time. That is not Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is actually the pure consciousness of the living entity's existence. Whatever consciousness we have in this material world is simply adopted in order to live in this world. And it's actually sometimes just causes us so much difficulty. Stay Krishna consciousness by associating with devotees in the mood of serving the devotees, and engage in chanting and dancing as much as you can. Offer your food in sacrifice, take Krishna prasadam. The process is susukam kartamavyayam. It's unlimitedly joyful, very simple, very direct, and very powerful. This is the mercy of Gaur Nitai. Krishna never gave such easy process. He said, surrender to me, give up everything. And then when you become my devotee, then I'll bless you. Lord Chaitanya didn't even ask that. He said, just take up this Harinam Sankirtan, take Krishna prasadam, associate and serve the devotees, and your life will be sublime. And this is the essence of bhakti, as given to us by the Lord himself in the form of his own devotee, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So these two brothers, Gaur Nitai, actually are the worshipable deities in this age of Kali. We can't approach Krishna directly. We have to approach Krishna through the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And through his mercy, Krishna becomes available. Okay, so I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for wonderful narration. Nityananda Katha. Anyone has questions? Please unmute yourself and raise your hand. Okay, Amrita Prabhu. Right.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for the class, Maharaj. My question is related to faith. Maharaj, we hear all these pastimes like Nityanand Prabhu, lifting a tree as a flute and devotees dancing on twigs and transcendental power of the kirtan. How do I say this? Intellectually or mentally, there seems to be some roadblock, and you say, okay, just on basis of faith, we are accepting it. But how do we actually believe it, or how do we actually know it is reality and
Well,
not some metaphorical thing?
I could give you a comparative answer. Srila Prabhupada was sitting with his disciples in the room. There was some guests there. One guest said to Srila Prabhupada, can you perform some miracles? And Prabhupada waved his hands towards his devotee. He said, these are my miracles. They're all coming from a very sinful realm. I'm just paraphrasing what Prabhupada said. He had illicit sex, gambling, meat eating, all kinds of bad habits. Now they're bright-faced, they're singing, they're dancing. They've given up all of these other activities. And in the pastime of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya purifying Jagai and Madai, it's described by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He says, but this pastime of purifying these two personalities, Jagai and Madai, is not, he speaks from the negative. He said it's not a pastime within the scriptures. It's not simply a historical event. What is it? It is the feature of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda's mercy that's going on today to bring a person from the mode of ignorance to the mode of, not mode of goodness, but the mode of Sudasattva, pure gold, faith and devotional service. Especially in this age of Kali, because in this age of Kali, everyone is born Sudra. Everyone has bad qualities. They grow up in a sinful way. And they're taught that way as the way to live. But by the mercy of the spiritual master who delivers the mercy of Gaur Nitai, people are becoming transformed. That's an act, that's a miracle. That is actually a real miracle. So when we see these other things that, as you see, Abhiram Das holding a tree, these things are not even as half as powerful as transforming a life of a person from someone very sinful to become a saintly person who is worshiping God, who has developed all desirable qualities, all good qualities. So if you're looking for miracles, these were if you'll find them. Especially those of us who grew up in the West. We know what is our past and how we receive such mercy from Gaur Nitai, became attracted, transformed. It says it takes 300 gallons of blood to make one person a devotee. It's not easy. It takes a lot of effort just to make one devotee. So these are miracles when the spiritual master is showing, canvassing on behalf of the Supreme Lord to engage, people who were not even inclined to these things, what to speak about, whether they're qualified. Once Prabhupada was asked by one of his senior disciples, it says that when to come to Krishna consciousness, it mentions in the Shastras, one has to have highest activities in previous verse. Sukriti. Well, he said to Prabhupada, we can see none of us had any Sukriti. How is it we can't come to you? Prabhupada said, I created you with good qualities. So these are actual miracles. course, the other things that defy the laws of material nature, you understand that from those who know physics know the laws of material nature are malleable. They can be adjusted. There is weightlessness. There are various types of principles that change. There's people who can take their hand and push it into a wall and come out the other side. Just by the meditation of the mind on a particular object. People who walk on fire, the people who can fly through the air, all of these things is simply the adjustment of power based on manipulating the material energy. Because the material energy is malleable, it's mutable, it's changeable. It works in a certain way, but those who have mental powers can adjust it. And that's not only for devotees, but even non-devotees can do that. They would take this famous magician, what's his name? Houdini. They would they would put him in a box and they would lock the box and put chains around the box and throw the box into an ocean, and he would get out. It's just some magic. Magic of manipulating the material energy. These things are not so great compared to transforming a heart of a simple person into a godly person. That's a real benefit. And that's being done right in front of us.
Mm. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
Anyone else has questions, comments, reflections? Okay, thank you very much, Maharaj. Please come again in person, maybe, hopefully sometime this year to New Jersey.
Krishna. Thank you, Krishna number.
I'm sorry.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to you, Maharaj. So, thank you. Let's see somebody else. Okay,
Can we see if there's any more questions? Yes.
doesn't look like it so far. Anyone else has questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Anjana Mataji. Yeah.
Yeah, no questions. Like I have calmed down after listening to so many lessons, and every lesson feels so special. And sometimes feel like to listen more and more, and sometimes feel like to take some time. Okay, let's stabilize and be consistent, and more lessons will come. So just like about Prabhu Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like so far I have attended lessons more about the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, but now I feel like need to hear more about Prabhu Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's really like good to hear about that from Maharaji. I can see like I just got the kind of introductory kind of lesson after attending this today. So I'm looking forward to hear more about them.
Yeah, we have the scripture Chaitanya Charitamrita, written by Krishna Das Kaviraj. It's the life and teachings of Lord Chaitanya.
Yes, I heard about that, Maharaji. And is that covering also about Nityananda Prabhuji?
Yeah, today we did from Chaitanya Bhagavat. These are both biographies of Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya Bhagavat is more emphasizing Lord Nityananda, and Chaitanya Charitamrita emphasizes more Lord Chaitanya. But both are included in both Bhagavat, both narrations. So you can.
Thank you,
Chaitanya
Maharaji. Mhm.
Charitamrita is done by Srila Prabhupada, so we recommend you take some time. It's very nice. This philosophy is very sweet, and Srila Prabhupada spent so much time and effort to give us that scripture. And it's all of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes where he appeared in the world, when he was growing up with his family in Navadvip, when he performed, when he got married, and before he took sannyas, and then once he traveled. And it's all about the life of Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Nityananda is also included there in these narrations.
Yes, thank you, Maharaji. And also just adding up to that another Prabhuji's question about the faith, and what I can tell from my experience, like after coming in touch with this association or listening to all these lessons, like it's holding us. So it's like we are getting away from this material world, and we are getting craving more and more for this spiritual listenings or this world. So that's how the faith is growing. Even if you try to leave, you won't like anything in the outside world, and you will come back to this association. So I think that's also um, like example of the faith, how the faith is growing, even if like the new devotee is not aware of this, but there is something magical that's holding you over here, like with the Krishna, with the Radharani, or with the Lord Jagannath, or like about the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Nityananda. So, what is that? Even if we don't know, that is, I think, the faith.
Yeah, the faith, but it's also natural. To worship the Lord is natural. It's our nature.
Right.
Yeah.
If we don't worship, then we feel so weird or miserable, and no choice. You worship and you feel so wonderful.
Yeah, because it's like eating after being starved. Material life cannot give us satisfaction. It can only give us a lot of things to keep us busy. Satisfaction comes from the soul, and the soul is part of Krishna. So when we come to the spiritual, we come to our actual identity as pure spiritual beings.
And yes, Maharaj, the only tough part I see is the sannyas. And even if suppose the person is ready for sannyas, but the duties are holding. And that's where I think many of us are hanging in that bridge of between sannyas and the duties.
Well, we can be Krishna conscious in family life also. We don't have to accept the formal position of sannyas. That is for a few.
That feel incomplete.
Hmm?
That feel like incomplete, like something is missing.
Um, you mean to stay in family life? You mean?
Yes, even if suppose we are performing duties and we are worshipping, there is no fullness. I don't know what I'm missing.
Well, we need community. Community means many devotees, many families getting together, sharing Krishna consciousness, worshiping together, taking care of children together, exchanging, our struggles with each other. When we have community, it becomes wonderful. It's easier. It's more natural. We have to create community in the environment where we are. Sometimes the purpose of a temple is to bring us all together, and then we have a sort of a community gathering. But the temple should be something that is very much there every day, not just once a week or on festivals. Every day we should go to the temple in the evening, have some kirtan, have some prasadam, hear some pravachan, and that will inspire us more and more in our Krishna consciousness.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
Hari Bol.
Thank you very much, Anjana.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Over to you, Krishna now.
Quick announcements. Let's chant one chakal padarubhasya kripa sindhu pevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo
Namo
Over
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Quick announcements. As we heard, February today, please join for Sunday Peace program today evening, 5:30 to 9. And February 6th, Satyala Ekadasi, which is Tuesday, important day. So please, Lord Vishnu and Sri Prabhupada, previous acharyas, to follow Ekadasi as much as possible. And then February 13th to 23rd, or rather 29th, so many important events are there, important dates. February 3rd is Vasanta Panchami, disappearance of Viswanath Chakra Thakur, disappearance of Raghunath Das Goswami. Many events, important day, 13th. And as we approach next is February 15th, is Lord Advaita Acharya Prabhu's appearance day, fasting till noon. And then the 20th is Varaha Dvadasi. So that is Ekadasi also, for us, at least in US. So which means fasting till noon for Lord Varahadev and also fasting for Lord Nityananda Trayodasi also on the same day on Ekadasi, February 20th. And then 21st Wednesday is Lord Nityananda Trayodasi. And February 29th is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Goswami Prabhupada's appearance day, 150th celebrations. We'll have week-long Katha about beloved Param Guru, Lion Guru, by whose mercy we are able to get the mercy of Sri Prabhupada. Please remember and try to offer something. We'll celebrate that day also on February 29th at our temple. But we can try to remember and try to offer something, make a garland, make whatever you want to offer. Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur likes Urad Dal Khichdi. So if we hear more past times, we will know more items, but at least this one I know. Urad Dal Khichdi, Prabhupada made one time. Everybody licked like anything. There is nothing left. So all the disciples of Sri Prabhupada personally made it. And it was, so we can, at least we can try to do something to please Sri Prabhupada and previous acharyas. So that will stop here. And Kirtan festival is there. Kirtan Love Fest, February, I think that is 17th, 18th, Saturday, Sunday. So please join. So those are the quick announcements. Thank you very much. Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhaktan. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.